started, waiting for confirmation.
Showing it on my thing.
Okay, we are live. Hello and welcome to the MMA Live Chat Show. I'm Rich Davie and it's Saturday, September 6, 2014, the day after the UFC Fight Night 50 Souza vs. Mousasi event. On today's show, we'll be discussing the UFC Fight Night 50 Souza vs. Mousasi event. We'll review our predictions for the main card, and we'll likely do a final thoughts segment if time allows. On today's show, we have yours truly, Damon Gazelle, and Fred Kirby. Thanks for taking part in another show, guys. I appreciate you all taking the time to be here to join me in discussing the event, reviewing our main card predictions, and to discuss other current MMA news. Go ahead and say hello to anybody that might be listening, guys.
It's good to be with you again, Rich. You too, Fred. Always glad to be on here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, guys. Always a pleasure.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Again, guys, thanks for being here. I appreciate it when you guys show up. All right, the UFC Fight Night 50 Souza vs. Mousasi event took place Friday, September 5th, 2014 at the Foxwoods Resort Casino in Ledyard, Connecticut, and aired on Fox Sports 1 starting at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time for the prelims, and the main card got underway at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Unfortunately, the rematch between featherweights Charles Oliveira and Nick Lentz was canceled due to Charles Oliveira suffering from an illness, but we'll talk about that later on in the show. So the event went on with only 9 fights. This event looked like it was going to be a great night of fights, and it indeed proved to be an exciting night of fights, especially for a free Fox Sports 1 night of fights there. This was an event that I think a lot of people probably thought was pay-per-view worthy. There were quite a few surprises and upsets in this one as well. The event had 6 stoppages, 3 decisions, 1 KO due to punches, 2 TKOs due to punches, 2 by way of submission, and 1 TKO due to doctor's stoppage. There were also 2 unanimous decisions and 1 split decision. With all the surprises and upsets, a lot of people didn't do all that well with their predictions, and it wasn't only us. We all did pretty abysmally on our predictions there, but most of our predictions for the main card and the 1 undercard bout were less than stellar. No need to try to make excuses for that. We did not look all that well with our predictions on this one, but like I said, we were not the only ones. We were not the only ones who did not do well with the predictions on that event there with all the surprises. As for the guys who were on the last show, here's how we did as far as our predictions go. Damon, Fred, Jeremiah, and Rich all went 2 wins and 3 losses. So, yeah, not too impressive there when we were looking at 2 and 3 there. But again, upsets and surprise finishes and all kinds of things there. As far as the points go, that's not looking all that good either.
No.
All right, the 3 of you guys were tied for first place. You all went 2 and 3 with 14 points out of 50. And I was in 4th place, taking the risks that I did. I went 2 and 3 with 8 points out of 50. But a little side note here. I mentioned on the pre-fight prediction show that I thought Lauzon, Chiesa, that would be more than likely performance of the night or fight of the night bonus, and it was. So I awarded myself 10 extra points for that, making myself the winner.
You cheap bastard.
Just kidding. And on our site, we do a pick'em contest for the events that we call an event pool, which is simply straight picks of the winner of the matchups. We don't do, round predictions and, methods of finish or anything like that. And on that, we had 2 guys tied on that. It was Parkland MMA and Iron Horse, who won the event pool pick'em contest on the forum. Both of those guys went 4 and 1. And as I mentioned, that's just a straight pick'em contest. With no rounds and no methods of finishes or anything like that. So really couldn't award them points properly on that because there really were no methods or anything like that. But each of them went 4 and 1, and they each got 16 points. And we had Eddie that was commenting on our last show there He also made a couple of picks. He only made one actual prediction, though. He predicted Jacare by TKO in the third, so he got 7 points for that. And then he also picked Alistair Overeem, Mitrione, Joe Lauzon, and Morgan. And his total points were 19. So he went 4-1 with 19 points, which isn't too bad, but it would have been nice to see what he would have got had he given us his full predictions for the event. All right, let's move on to the event here. Up first, Jacare Souza versus Gegard Mousasi, the number 4 UFC ranked middleweight versus the number 7 UFC ranked middleweight. Jacare Souza going into this one was 20 wins, 3 losses, and 1 no contest. Gegard Mousasi was 35 wins, 4 losses, and 2 draws. Jacare Souza defeated Gegard Mousasi by submission due to guillotine choke at 4:30 of round 1, and this was the matchup, or actually the rematch of the Souza versus Mousasi event that took place back at Dream 6 Middleweight Grand Prix 2008 finale on September 23rd, 2008. Mousasi won the first time around, as we mentioned on the pre-fight show there, due to an upkick at 2:15 of round 1. And in the rematch, Jacare just absolutely looked like a beast. I mean, he just simply dominated Gegard Mousasi for all 3 rounds, eventually defeating Gegard Mousasi by submission due to guillotine choke at 4:30 of round 3. And it's probably safe to say from that performance last night that Jacare will likely get a shot at the middleweight title in the very near future. Damon, your comments on this one and how it unfolded and what you thought about the whole thing.
Oh, man. Seeing Souza just completely manhandle Gegard Mousasi was crazy. I knew the guy had amazing grappling, but I couldn't believe that he was actually able to do what he did for 3 rounds with a guy that good.
And also his striking was phenomenal too. He was just battering the hell out of him.
Yeah, he was coming in with little bursts. He was keeping the grappling and everything. Was keeping Mousasi kind of wary about the striking. He was pretty much just doing those jabs, and Souza was just didn't care. He was just going to eat him when he was coming forward. And sure enough, he was landing. He looked great. The grappling was amazing, and he just completely dominated. The passing on the ground, everything was phenomenal. I mean, I know Weidman is a very good wrestler, but man, if he takes him down or even tries to, that could be some big problems for Weidman. I hope they do make that matchup.
Yeah, I was thinking last night too when I was looking at what was going on there, and then when I wrote up the intros for the show today, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, I think he's going to give, and I love Chris Weidman, but I think Sousa's going to give Weidman a run for his money there.
Yeah, I do too. I still think I would pick Weidman. I think he'd be smart enough to keep it standing. He's a smart fighter. I mean, but you never know with Jacare. If he gets him to the ground or gets him in a submission hold, anything can happen. But I think Weidman would actually play to his strengths and know that Jacare gasses later in the fight and try and win it in the later rounds.
Yeah, that's what you were saying to me during the 3rd round there, that you thought he was looking. Oh no, you actually said that to me in the 2nd round there, that you said he looked.
Yeah,
like,
at the end of the 2nd round, I was like, yeah.
You said it looked like he might have been going too hard and that he might gas because of the pace that he put on there. Fred, I know that you went the other way and you were picking Mousasi to win this one there. What did you think about this one, how everything unfolded, and your comments on this?
Yeah, just kind of going with what Damon said, man, I was super impressed with the way Jacare was able to kind of cut the cage off. He really stopped Gegard from gaining any really momentum and forward movement in any way. he actually outstruck him pretty well, which was super surprising to me. I did not really. I thought Gegard would have a lot more success, and it seemed like he kind of did in the very beginning stages of kind of keeping Jacare off of him and keeping the distance and striking at bay. But Jacare eventually found a way to shut all that down, and in the second round, man, he was really fucking throwing some heat at Gegard. There was a minute there where I kind of thought he was going to stop Mousasi with punches, which was fucking crazy, man, but he was just really fucking getting after it. And I mean, as technical as Mousasi can be, when you got a beast like Jacare just kind of fucking lunging Chuck Liddell haymakers at you, man, I mean, he was fucking Gegard up. Quite frankly, I kind of think that shook Gegard a little bit. That barrage he put on him in the second round, I think it kind of hurt him a little bit, and I was still surprised to see him actually submit Mousasi, but I don't know. It feels like he might have like kind of drained his will a little bit with that second round onslaught he put on him. But
yeah, I agree. I wanted to make that same comment while you were making your comments there. He looked like Souza just took the life out of Mousasi in round two there, and it looked like in round two, Mousasi kind of came to the conclusion that, holy shit, do I still want to be in this fight?
Yeah, I think he was kind of surprised by Jacare's power standing on the feet with his strikes, and I don't know if you guys seen the walkout, but Jacare was fucking fired up, man. I mean, he looked fucking scarily intense on that walkout, man. So he looked incredible. I don't know. I think the whole him getting the next title shot thing. I think he deserves it for sure. He's definitely got a good stake to claim it. But I think a lot of that shit comes down to timing. Who gets injured? I mean, Vitor's going to fight Weidman in December, I think. We'll have to see how all that plays out. And if one of them happens to be out afterwards, because Weidman tends to get hurt even in his wins and shit. So if he needs some surgery, Jacare may need to take a fight in the meantime. So it'll be interesting to just see what they do with Jacare next. I'm sure he probably wants that title shot, but like I said, we still got a ways for December yet, so he may.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying he gets the title shot straight away, but definitely in the near future, he's clearly a contender because he was ranked number 4 going into this. I mean, I don't know if he's going to move up any from fighting the number 7 guy, but he's definitely in the mix for a shot at the title, I think. And DFW seemed to be extremely impressed with him. So
for sure, he's definitely in line. But like I said, I think I wonder if he'll have to take a fight before he gets that title shot, just based on time difference and shit, and when the title fight's going to take place, and if he does have to take another fight in the interim while he's waiting, who makes sense for him at this point? I mean, Luke Rockhold still got that win over him. So.
Yeah, I think Rockhold's actually I think him and Bisping is actually already scheduled down. So. Yeah, Rockhold would probably be out for.
I saw Ariel Helwani interviewing DFW last night after the event, and he was trying to take credit for making that match up there because if you recall before that, Ariel Helwani pressed DFW on the matchup between those two, and DFW said, or he alluded to the fact that he liked the fight between Machida and Bisping better, I believe, is what it was. So. Ariel kind of was kidding him last night.
I think Machida versus Souza would be good if he did have to take one more fight before getting a title match.
Yeah, but what I was doing, I was trying to back up your point there, saying that DFW eventually he came out and said, well, I think it is going to be Rockhold and
Rockhold. Yeah, I forget where I've seen it, but it is definitely booked. I forget when it is. Let me look that up. I know it did get booked though.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they definitely did book Bisping and Rockhold, then I guess the only other person that Jacare can fight in the meantime, possibly that makes sense, is Cheetah.
Who?
UFC Fight Night 55 in November. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then it has to be Machida if the timing doesn't work out right. I would think.
Yeah, because Machida just came off of a loss from Weidman, but he's still ranked pretty high.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe if they were grasping for straws, Yoel Romero, if he can beat Tim Kennedy, maybe.
Possibly. I
Depending on
still
the
think
part.
I still think Romero has a little bit to go.
I agree, but I mean, what the fuck? They've done weirder shit in the pinch, depending on what
Yeah,
happens.
exactly.
That's so what the fuck? Chris Carriaso's fucking fighting Mighty Mouse for the belt next, so obviously
Yeah.
shit happens.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, uh, Leota's still ranked like number 2.
That makes sense.
So, and pretty much everybody else in the top 8 are already booked for fights, except for
Right.
maybe I don't know if Kennedy's booked for a fight or not. But
Yoel Romero.
oh yeah, all right,
Yeah.
yeah. And CB Dollaway, I don't see them. He's ranked number 9. I don't see them putting him up against another guy lower than him, unless
I mean, that would have to be a really tragic turn of events for them to book him with fucking the Doberman.
yeah. I don't know. Hopefully, I think he will take a match in between because he was out 9 months coming into this match.
Yeah.
I think he wants to stay active. I would if I were him.
Him and Lyoto is fucking tons of fun as far as it goes, and I tell you what, I mean, he could very well say he deserves the shot now, but if he can fucking come out and beat Lyoto, or God forbid submitting or finishing, there'll be no fucking getting around it at that point. So he might as well.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
see too many
I'm trying
people.
I'm trying to pull up the UFC rankings in the Fight Metric page here to actually take a look at some of the numbers here, but I am having problems again with my browser, so I don't know. Maybe you guys can pull up the Fight Metric, or Damon, maybe you can pull up Fight Metric and look at the numbers on that page there, because
On the rankings.
well, no, not the rankings, the Fight Metric punch stats and striking stats. I don't know what the heck is wrong with this computer of mine here, but I guess it's time to get a new one. It's frustrating as hell. I just rebooted, so I have a clean boot to work with here.
Let me see.
Okay, I finally got Fight Metric. Okay. Overall, significant strikes. Souza was 32 of 56. Mousasi 26 of 56 total strikes. Wow, this is surprising. 59 out of 86 for Jacare and 78 out of 109 for Mousasi. Wow.
Yeah, Mousasi actually showed pretty good takedown defense. Only allowing 410. The problem was he wasn't able to get back up.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look like that many strikes were landing by Mousasi, did it?
I'm sure it was the jabs. He was jabbing pretty good. I mean, a lot of times it doesn't look like a whole lot, but those little things add up.
Yeah, it looked like, well, this is really interesting too here. Looking at round 1, 9 of 12 for Jacare, 8 of 14 for Gegard. Round 2, 12 of 23 for Jacare, 1 of 8 for Gegard. That was the round where he pretty much blasted him. But then when you look at the total strikes, wow, total strikes in every round, Gegard had the edge. Wow.
Yeah.
And even the significant strikes.
Yeah, that's what the significant strikes were that you're reading off.
Like quality over quantity sometimes matters a lot too. All those little peppering he sprayed out didn't mean shit when Jacare landed about 4 or 5 good solid hooks in the round.
Yeah, and I believe they do consider jabs a significant strike.
Really? Yeah, I have a problem with the way they classified the strikes and how they score every.
Well, if you look at like the Jones-Gustafson fight,
go back and look at
the leg kicks were scored as significant strikes, and that's why
They should probably have different categories for that, don't you think?
Like we've talked before, I do not like how they classify the significant strikes. I see a significant strike as actually doing damage rather than just being. I mean, I guess it does stop momentum, so I guess you could consider it a significant strike. But you know, they like you said, there should be different categories. It should be like significant strikes and then punishing strikes or something like that.
Yeah, because it's kind of mind-boggling when you're sitting there watching the fight and then you come and you look at the numbers and you're trying to rationalize in your head, how does that work out? You know, you're trying to actually reconcile, you know, geez, did I actually see that same fight? You know?
Exactly. Yeah, because a lot of it doesn't look like it lands or isn't very significant, and then you look at the numbers and it's like, man, it didn't look like there was that many significant strikes.
What did you think, Fred? I think we lost Fred.
Huh? Can you hear me?
No, I can see.
No, we can hear you.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I don't know. I think I don't read too much into the punch stats really because I think that's hard. It doesn't really tell the tale of the fight. A lot of times, like you said, you can read those things and it'll say a guy outlanded a guy, but when you watch the fight, a lot of them strikes don't even really end up mattering much. Some of the leg kicks or the jabs or, you know, some of them strikes end up being completely irrelevant, and then only maybe 5 or 6 strikes the whole fucking round were actually significant or actually changed the tide of the fight in any way. So,
Yeah,
but the problem with it is in decisions and how they're classified.
Yeah, exactly. Because, you know, again, we have that problem with judges where they, you know, have free reign to determine how to score things, you know, and maybe some judges are scoring, you know, the jabs, you know, more because you'll land more jabs than you will heavy strikes. But sometimes when you're throwing like crosses and uppercuts and haymakers, I mean, those are doing a hell of a lot more damage. So, you know, I guess you'll have other judges scoring those, you know, much more, you know, in the round. And apparently that's what happened in this fight. The, you know, the big heavy shots and haymakers and things were actually what won Jacare the fight, I guess, because when you're looking at the numbers here, it just doesn't.
I think it was a sub that won him the fight.
Well, no, I mean all along there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, he was just damaging. He was just damaging him all along.
The judges
Go ahead, Fred.
The judges are fucking morons most of the time. I mean, a lot of the times you get some of these decisions and you're scratching your head, but honestly, I think there's a bit more to that. Like, most of us are fucking watching these fights on, you know, big-ass, high-definition fucking TVs with the best possible angle at every fucking moment.
Yeah.
Watch these fucking fights, and we got the best view in the house, technically speaking. We see that shit from every angle, slow-mo, the lot of it. These fucking guys that are there live, if I'm not mistaken, and they may have changed this here recently, but I'm pretty sure I don't think that the judges had a monitor set up there to where they could actually watch like the camera feeds. I think that they just were watching the fights. Like, they didn't have an actual camera there. I kind of think that's a monumental fuck up. Like, I think that
they do have monitors now.
Do they now?
They just put monitors in not too terribly long. I don't know if they did for this event, but I know that was something that they added.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, that kind of seems like a no fucking brainer. Like, you know, obviously, if you're one judge, you're sitting there, even if you're ringside, you know, you only got one fucking view of the fight, unless you get those other camera angles and shit. I used to fucking go to the Cincinnati Bengals game, my football team here in my city and shit. We had great seats in that we was right behind the fucking goal of the Bengals. So, you know, when they were going to score a fucking touchdown, it was like we was watching high school football. But when the ball was on the other end of the field, you couldn't see football. And of course, they fucking sucked too, so the ball was always on that side of the field. So basically, even having those good tickets, you know what I'm saying? So the judge could just have a shitty angle, and unless he's got the fucking camera view with homeboy right there getting the shot, man, you know,
Yeah, I agree, because I'm the same way. I don't actually like to go to live events and watch them live because you never have a good view of what's going on. I mean, if you're going to pay $50 or $100 to go to an event, well, you could pay $50 and sit at home and watch it on your big screen TV and actually see all of the action. Yeah, I kind of agree, and yeah, it's a must. I mean, judges have to have monitors in front of them to see the fight because, I mean, when you look at the position that they're at, they're kind of looking up at an angle at the fighters,
Well, don't they space them out for the different angles?
Yeah, but still, it's still just that. I think there's like one over here, like triangulate around the cage, but even at that fucking point, they still only got their one view. And I guess that's how you get these fucking wild scorecards where one judge, these two fucking judges see the same fight completely different ways, and you're kind of like, what the fuck are these guys looking at? But they probably just got different views.
I think also too is that they're able to hear the actual
strikes,
a lot better, and I'm sure they have a pad somewhere that they're marking down each one they believe is as a significant strike. And we may tally them up and put them on their scorecards. I don't know. We'd actually have to speak to a judge.
It would be interesting to speak to somebody who actually does judge and score fights to see exactly how they do it. Because I've often wondered myself, how do you keep track of all the punches and all the moves and everything that's going on?
It is very hard. I mean, because you've got so much to take into effect. You've got
because when we're watching ourselves, when we watch ourselves, we're not actually keeping a tally. We're going by what we're seeing, live coming into our head, and we're just documenting within our head what we think we're seeing, All right, any more comments on this one here? Because I want to wrap this one up and move on to the next one.
No, I'm hoping Souza does get the title shot next.
Okay, let me just oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I just think that he's definitely ready for it, and depending on what happens, I mean, listen, let's be fucking honest here. Vitor Belfort could fucking piss hot as a Russian racehorse before this fight comes up, and Jacare could very well be fighting for the belt in December. So, who the fuck knows what's going to happen? He definitely put himself in an awesome spot with a performance like last night. That's for fucking sure. So
yeah, he impressed the hell out of me.
Yeah, same. Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, as far as our picks went here, Damon went with Jacare by 7-3. He got 10 points. You were the only one that called it right, buddy. Congrats on that. Fred went with Mousasi by TKO and 3, 0 points. Jeremiah went with Mousasi by decision, 0 points. I went with Jacare by decision, 4 points. And then the other guys, we won't cover theirs for now because they're not here to discuss it with us anyway. Let's move on here. So wrapping this one up, Mousasi just got manhandled during all 3 rounds there. And Jacare Souza defeats Gegard Mousasi in a dominant fashion by submission due to guillotine choke at 4:30 of round 3. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and move on to the next one here. A bit of a shocker on this one. Alistair Overeem versus Ben Rothwell, the number 7 UFC ranked heavyweight versus number 17 ranked heavyweight. Alistair Overeem was 37 wins, 13 losses, no draws, and 1 no contest. And Ben Rothwell was 33 wins and 9 losses coming into this fight. This was quite an upset in this match here, because Big Ben was a pretty big dog. Coming into this fight here, according to odds makers, Ben was actually a plus 320 dog going into this fight. And a great majority of MMA fans were favoring Overeem by a huge margin to win this easily by KO or TKO early on in this fight, as most of us did as well. But Rothwell looked like a man on a mission in this one, and he just brought it to Overeem straight away, getting the huge upset and putting a big question mark on Overeem's future in the UFC. And Rothwell also stated that, he was a bit upset with the way that the media was treating him. He had some comments post-fight there about, he just wasn't happy with everybody doubting him, and, he had to make a statement there. In addition to that, making a statement that he also snapped that win-loss, win-loss, win-loss pattern that he was in, and he's now riding a 2-fight win streak. So congrats to Big Ben there. He was looking really good, and unfortunately for Big Ben, though, he broke his arm blocking a kick in this fight, but he still managed to get the TKO with that broken arm. So pretty damn impressive there. And for those who actually didn't get to see, Ben Rothwell defeated Alistair Overeem by TKO due to punches at 2:19 of round 1. That was pretty damn impressive. Damon, what did you think about that one?
Yeah, it's heavyweights. I mean, anything can happen, and we're seeing why Overeem waited so long to come to the UFC. He's just not as good as his record would have proved in the other organizations he was in. I mean, he's got what, 2 wins in the UFC? I think Lesnar and Mir.
Yep.
And he's got like 3 or 4 losses, I believe it is. I know 3. So I mean, do you cut him? I would. I think he's probably making a lot of money. I think it would be in the best interest of the UFC to go ahead and either tell me he's taking a pay cut or cut him.
Yeah, I was trying to look that information up, but as I said, I was having a problem with my browser here. What did he earn for that fight? Do either of you guys know?
Need to look up the payouts.
Because that's what I was thinking. I was thinking because of the name of who he is, and the heavyweight division could always use those big name guys who could shock anybody at any time. But depending upon what he's making, I don't see them getting rid of him, because DFW in the post-fight interview with Ariel Helwani, he seemed to be in a little bit of a confusion there as to what to do with Overeem, because it looked like Helwani was trying to pressure him into saying that Overeem was done in the UFC, but DFW said he just wasn't happy with the way Overeem looked, but he can't make any sort of decision because they haven't discussed it with the UFC brass. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I don't think they get rid of him.
No,
Eddie,
I mean,
Eddie, can you hear us?
I think he's got.
We got Eddie on the show here. Hang on. Eddie, are you hearing us? We're seeing you, but we're not hearing you.
Can't hear you.
Yeah.
No, couldn't hear him either.
Okay, looks like he's having problems with his connection. Okay, go ahead. What were you saying, Damon?
I think he's under contract, and the heavyweight division really isn't stacked. I mean, you look at it, Frank Mir is still around. So
Not a Frank Mir fan?
Well, look at his record as of late. I mean, it's not like the guy's going out there destroying guys. He's usually the one getting destroyed. He's got a name, Frank Mir does, but if you look at his record as of late, I don't believe he really deserves to be.
All right, can you guys hear me now?
Oh,
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Eddie. Glad you could make it, buddy.
Thanks, man. My bad. I just finished doing my show, and I had all this fancy equipment set up, and it jacked all my settings for Google Hangout. But we're gonna go old school with the regular mic on here. So glad to join you guys.
All right. Well, thanks for taking the time to join us. We're only up to the second fight here. We went a little long on the first fight, but right now we're talking about Ben Rothwell and Alistair Overeem.
Oh, that was an awesome fight. I mean, who would have thought Ben Rothwell was going to knock out the knockout king, or the used to be knockout king? That guy's head's made out of glass now. I mean, come on. Bigfoot, Rothwell, a fucking Minnie Mouse and Mickey Mouse probably knock him out by now, or going to. He's just kind of done, in my opinion, as far as knocking anybody out, right? So I think he's going to end up getting cut, because I don't think you want to keep a guy that's supposed to be exciting and isn't exciting anymore. In the heavyweight division, and this, in the UFC. I think
that's what we were.
So yeah.
Where you joined us here, we were saying the same thing there. With the amount of money that Overeem is making, he's probably going to have 2 choices. Either lower your fight contract to earn less per fight, or go elsewhere. And probably going to think, because I really don't think they want to cut a big name fighter like that because the UFC wants to have all those big name fighters. But yeah, he's in a bad way, and I don't know if you heard, we were mentioning the post fight interview of DFW by Ariel Helwani, and DFW was kind of pondering what to do, and Ariel was trying to push DFW into saying that Overeem was done in the UFC, but DFW didn't want to make that comment. So yeah, there's something is going to happen there. It's either going to be contract renegotiation for less money per fights, or he may get cut, but I don't think they'll cut him.
Yeah, leave it to Ariel Helwani to want to get answers to shit he doesn't need to know about. I'm not anti Helwani, but sometimes you just want to punch that dude right in the face. Like, dude, come on, shut up, let the fights go on. I mean, did you guys see that? No, I don't want to get off the topic, but still, all credit to Rothwell. Dude brought it, busted him. He busted his face with a busted arm. Like, I mean, I heard it wasn't broken. He thought it was broken, but I mean, have fun throwing with that jacked up arm if you get a kick on it. So,
was it broken or was it not broken? Because in the post-fight interview, he said it was broken.
Right. I think I read somewhere that it wasn't. Obviously, Twitter, everyone thinks they're freaking doctors. So, whatever, it doesn't really matter. That arm was nearly unusable. So, credit to Rothwell for winning, for getting the knockout, but do not put him in Dancing with the Stars. That was just weird. So, leave it with a club, buddy. But, hell yeah, Rothwell, all the way.
Did you hear Couture is going to be on Dancing with the Stars?
I saw that, and then I heard, I can't remember the actor's name. Carlton from Fresh Prince is going to be on there. As soon as I saw that he was going to be on there, yeah, it is over. Couture has no chance. No matter who you put on there. I mean, Carlton has his own dance. It's over. That guy won already, all right? Why do we even put this on TV, man? Just give us the highlights and move on to the next one.
Exactly.
Brad, what did you think about that matchup, man?
I mean, I guess I was surprised like everybody else. I kind of assumed the same shit that everybody else thought, that Overeem was going to come out, build a little steam, that Rothwell would be a stepping stone and shit. Rothwell's fucking kind of slow and plotty, and I mean, obviously he's strong and he hits hard like pretty much every other fucking heavyweight in the UFC, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Like, I guess, obviously, to make the fucking easy comparison, you could always just say that, Overeem was not on his horse juice anymore, and he wasn't fucking big or focused. He obviously looked noticeably leaner. I heard everybody, like, kind of commenting on how he looked, physically smaller and shit. But, honestly, that wasn't the fucking problem. Rothwell didn't drag him into deep water. He fucking outboxed him. He was stinging him with a sneaky uppercut, and Overeem, like a first-time fucking boxing beginner, was leaning right into it, man. And then he just creamed him with a straight right behind the old ear. I think that, honestly, to be completely fucking honest with you, I would not be surprised if Overeem kind of just drifted into obscurity and was like lifting little Asian girls in Tokyo or something. I don't, he's had a lot of bad luck, and he's fucking, he joined Greg Jackson's camp, and there was all this bullshit talk about how he's evolved his game, and the master fucking Winklejohn and Greg Jackson were going to turn him around, and he came out and did the same fucking thing, man. Had a brain fart and got his ass knocked out. I gotta think that his confidence is at a fucking all-time low, and I don't know what you do with him right now. Obviously, he sure as shit ain't getting the big dollars that he used to get, for sure. So,
nah, if he wants to go back to doing fucking like K1 or something, maybe, but he just does not have the chin. Like I said, that I believe wholeheartedly that this is why he avoided the UFC for so long, is he knew he was not actual top competition.
Think about this. He fucking submitted Mark Hunt in, I think, like 2008 or some shit in Japan, and made Mark Hunt look like a fucking bitch. Now, fast forward to where we're at now. Mark Hunt is about to be fucking headlining an event in Japan. He might fuck around and come out and knock out Roy Nelson, and Overeem wouldn't even be worthy to get a fight with Mark Hunt in 2015. How fucking insane is MMA, man? I mean, if you could like go back to that time and say, listen, in fucking 5 or 6 years, Mark Hunt is going to be higher ranked in the UFC than Overeem. They're both going to make it there, but Mark Hunt is going to have a way better UFC career than Alistair Overeem. Everybody would have called you a fucking moron, and bigger than shit, that's what's happening. It's incredible.
Yeah, when you get tagged up and you get knocked out more than once, I mean, you become more susceptible to them. I think Overeem is going to be even more susceptible now. I just he needs to do something totally different. I mean, he needs to find a ground game or something because the stand-up isn't working anymore for him.
Yeah, he's going to keep jumping on from gym to gym to gym, end up with Nick Diaz, and Nate Diaz get all smoked up and think he could take on heavyweights again. Oh, give me the title shot. No. I think, back in those Pride days when they in the Pride contracts, I don't know if you guys ever seen one or anything. I've never seen one. I've spoken to people that have seen it, and they say on the bottom of the contract, it says they don't test for performance-enhancing drugs. They test for cocaine and crack, and crap like that doesn't help you at all. So, look, take that as you will, whether you want to think that all those Pride fights are garbage or not. But I mean, it's pretty interesting to see that all those guys that come over from overseas all of a sudden aren't as great as they used to be.
Yeah.
Well, they just had an event in China, and Dana White actually had one of the judges removed because the UFC pretty much has to govern themselves when they're over in China. So they could do anything they want there. They could let guys juice if they wanted to over there, but and not test. But the UFC is trying to make it look like they are totally legitimate and are very harsh on drugs. So I believe they will drug test for any more events they do have in China, but I kind of like the fact that Dana White was able to say, no, get the fuck out of here. You have no clue what you're judging.
Yeah, but they can't do that. That's totally beyond the scope of what they're allowed to do.
No, that's what happened in China, though. The last event in China.
Yeah, right, but he's already come out and said, and the UFC has acknowledged that they're not allowed to do that, and they went beyond the means of what they're allowed to do.
Yeah, he apologized publicly for it. Dana White did. He apologized.
Right, so that was the comment I was hearing, too, from a lot of people. Everyone was blaming on the fact that they think that Overeem is no longer on the horse meat, as we call it. Mm-hmm. And that's what a lot of people were saying that I saw on Twitter and, Facebook and social media. They're all saying, oh, well, because he's off the juice, he's just not going to be anything anymore in the UFC, and he's done for. So question to each of you guys going down the line, really brief. Do you think Overeem's done for? Do you think he's going to be cut? What do you think happens? Is it because of the juice and the loss of weight, or what do you guys think? Damon.
I don't think he'll be cut just because of how thin the heavyweight division is. He definitely is going to have to change up his style. Him being off the juice is not, or even if he was on the juice is not going to strengthen your jaw. So I don't believe that would have had any effect on this fight. So I think he stays around for another fight or two. After that, we have to see what his record is after those couple fights. See if they actually keep him around.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Eddie. What do you think, real quickly?
All right. Overeem out of the UFC. I think he gets cut because, I think might have been Fred that said it. He's not going to get paid all that money. His contract is ridiculous. So they're going to cut him from the UFC.
Do you know what he is making? Because I asked that earlier. Do you know what he is making?
No, I have not. I've never actually researched it. But I mean, come on, he's a pretty big name. He should be getting paid pretty good. Especially most of the heavyweights get paid pretty good money because they're the guys that everyone tunes in to watch.
Yeah, they usually make like $200,000 a show, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Because I think Shaw makes a little more than that too. So, I think he makes like 300, but I'm not sure. But Overeem gets cut, and we see him in Glory Kickboxing.
Okay, Fred.
Man, it's hard to say. I could definitely see a world where Overeem gets cut. Listen, this is what I think it comes down to. I think it comes down to what Overeem thinks he's still worth. If Overeem is willing to swallow his pride and say, okay, fuck it, I'll open up a pay-per-view and I'll take $50K to show, 50 to win, then DW can probably do some business with him. I mean, he's still got a big name, heavyweight's thin as fuck. So if he's willing to know his role, he can probably get another fight. If he gets fucking cute, I mean, they almost let Gilbert Melendez go. You know what I'm saying? If he gets fucking cute, they'll cut him in a New York minute. So I'll go ahead and say that I'll agree. I'll say that he gets cut, but I think it'll be more on amicable terms. I kind of think Overeem's going to want to go to K1. I think maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I think maybe we may have seen the last of Overeem with MMA. I think maybe he'll go to kickboxing. I think maybe he kind of knows in his heart of hearts what's he going to do. Go to Bellator and fuck around and get knocked out by Czech Congo? I mean, you know, I think maybe he might know, man. I think maybe he just heads to kickboxing. Glory.
Okay. That's interesting. Eddie and Fred agree pretty much on Overeem going away. I'm agreeing with Damon. I think he'll at least get one more fight before anything happens. And if he gets knocked out again, he'll clearly be gone from the UFC, no question there. Okay, and let me just wrap up here how we did on our picks here. We all went with Overeem by KO in one form or another here. So we all got 0 points for that. And I'm speaking about everybody who's here: Damon, Fred, Jeremiah, Eddie, and myself. And then the other two guys that did their pick'em contest on the site, they both picked Rothwell, strangely enough, and they both won the pick'em contest on the site that I was telling Eddie about last night.
Yeah.
All right, so as I mentioned earlier there, in the post-fight interview, DFW was asked by Ariel Helwani if he thought that Overeem's future in the UFC was in question, but DFW declined to make a definitive comment, as obviously nothing had been discussed between UFC brass. So yeah, I think we're all going to see something probably within the next couple of weeks or next week or so in regard to what's going to be going on with the Overeem, but I don't think they're going to cut him straight away. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Hold on a second. His contract for his first 3 fights in the UFC was guaranteed Zuffa would pay him $1 million spread out evenly over his first 3 fights.
$1 million evenly over 3 fights? That's $333,000 a fight then? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
What a fucking monumental... I tell you what, the question becomes at this point, is Overeem the biggest fucking bust of all time?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I think the only really good win he had was the one over Lesnar.
Yeah. No, and I absolutely loved him. I was just becoming a fan of his for beating the shit out of Lesnar like that. I loved that.
I was one of those guys, man, that was following him before, and I'd seen him fucking destroying guys, and I kind of knew that the guys he was destroying outside of the UFC, he should have been destroying, but there's still always something impressive about seeing somebody fucking handle dudes. And then he went to K1, and he won that Grand Prix, and everybody was all on his dick. Me too. I mean, he's this fucking god. He went over to K1 and fucking knocked out Badr Hari and fucking yada, yada, yada. What did it get him? Getting fucking knocked out by Ben Rothwell. Are you fucking kidding me?
You better not let Ben Rothwell hear that. Know where you're at.
Yeah, man. Rothwell.
What the fuck? I never claimed to be bad in any way. That's the difference.
But it sounds like you're saying Rothwell sucks.
Hey, for all of me, he does. What the fuck? We're talking about the baddest dudes on planet Earth. I don't include him in that breath. He's a good fighter. He deserves to be in the UFC. But let's not get a fucking head of ourselves. Him knocking out Overeem is a big fucking statement, and not a good one for fucking Ben Rothwell. It's a bad one for Monster Overeem. That's, Yeah, so.
I mean, again, we mentioned that on the pre-fight show there. He was in that win-loss pattern, and he really didn't have any consistency, and couldn't string 2 wins in a row in the UFC. So now he does have 2 wins in a row.
Brandon Vera. I mean, come on. I like Brandon Vera too, but he hasn't been since he fucking pasted Frank Mir a month of Sundays ago.
Yeah. He was another one who came into the UFC heavyweight division who was supposed to be, God's greatest gift to the UFC in that division. He was going to shake things up, and he never really panned out as well. And I don't know if they were at the same time when they came to the UFC. I think it was maybe a year or 2 apart. But yeah, both of those guys, when they came into the UFC, they didn't really perform as expected. All right, let's move on to the next one here. Another heavyweight matchup, Derek Lewis versus Matt Mitrione, the number 26 ranked heavyweight fighter versus the number 21 ranked heavyweight fighter. Derek Lewis was 11 wins, 2 losses, 1 no contest. Matt Mitrione was 7 wins, 3 losses coming into this matchup here. And in the prediction show, I made a comment that this one was almost guaranteed to be another fight that did not go the distance. And it did not go the distance as we saw last night there. But it's never wise to block punches with your face, especially when you're lunging in, to block the punch with your face there. And Lewis got a little careless there, and he paid for it there. So, Damon, comments on this one?
That was pretty much a forearm to the face.
No, that punch was the thing that landed.
The thing that finished it, but yeah, when they both collided, it was his forearm that stunned him and started got Meathead the start for the onslaught. I do believe Mitrione did the wrong thing and getting caught up in the heat of the moment of being called out for a fight and continued to wail on him after the guy was clearly had clearly lost the fight and was standing over there talking shit. I didn't like that.
Well, he actually said he didn't say anything to him. He said, well, he was already unconscious. There would have been no point in me saying anything to him. Ariel Helwani asked him, what did you say to him when you were standing over him? He said, I didn't say anything. He was already out, and he wouldn't have heard anything that I said, so there was no point.
No, just standing over him, kind of like that. I mean, it is martial arts. Not all martial arts are supposed to be respectful. I mean, but he got the win. He should have been happy about that, and I don't think he should have continue on like that. I love Meathead. Fucking Mitrione's one of my favorite fighters, but yeah, don't let yourself get caught up in the heat of the moment. Take your win, take your money, and be happy.
Eddie, what did you think?
Well, I'd say I called it. I think we're out here talking about Lewis was gonna knock Mitrione out, and I immediately went for Mitrione with the experience. In the heavyweight division, you gotta know that. I mean, obviously you do know when you get in there you could get knocked out in a second. And when Mitrione saw that Lewis was stunned, he's seen it a million times before. He went after him and took him out. So as far as I guess antics after the fight by Mitrione, I had no problem with it because you're very emotional after a fight. You're in there. You just knocked out the guy that was trying to kill you, and people were doubting you. The journal. Oh no, sorry. I'm thinking Rothwell for a second. But even then, there was a lot of people that picked Lewis over Mitrione just for knockout power. So it was a fun fight, man. I love seeing knockouts. I love seeing Mitrione win anything, especially because that guy's gotten just a drag. Like last fight with Struve, he was supposed to have, didn't happen. I was looking forward to it like a motherfucker too. But yeah, this fight happened. It was fun, man. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that there. I didn't really have a problem with it. I typically, the celebration and the antics that went on, after the win, I usually have a problem with that sort of thing, and that didn't bother me. Like you're saying, Eddie, it was just kind of like a heat of the moment type thing. Celebrated briefly, and I didn't think he really disrespected him like some other fighters do. So yeah, I agree with you. I didn't really have a problem with it either. Fred, what did you think?
Hey, quite frankly, I love it, Jack. Short of that, like, not to get completely off topic, but short of that bullshit that Tito and Max Man pulled a belt.
No, we're going to talk about that later if we have time.
I figured that. Short of that, though, I kind of like the other shit, man. Listen, everybody loves a Chiesa or a great martial artist, and everybody being so fucking respectful and bowing, and all the handshaking and the Pat Barry, Mirko Krokop fucking bro hugs in the middle of the ring. It's all great and classy. But there's something about a guy like Conor McGregor that fucking excites me.
Yeah, but he's not a dick in the octagon.
Face smashed in, or whether you think he's the next GOAT, it fucking gets you amped up, man. And nothing's worse than being bleh on a fighter. There's a lot of really good fighters out there that I gotta kind of force myself to give a fuck about because they just don't sell themselves that well. Hell, quite frankly, Mighty Mouse is kind of like that. One of the fucking greatest pound-for-pound fighters on the planet, but I gotta force myself to care about the guy, man, because he's so fucking nice, and he just, doesn't generate a whole lot of.
Well, I can see that Fred and Eddie are on one side of the corner here, me and Damon are on the other.
No,
me and Damon are usually the other way, where we like the respectful fighters who play the martial arts aspect, and you guys seem to like the more brash fighters.
I love all that too. I do love that. Like I said, I guess I think there's room for both. I like that certain guys. I love the whole different personality thing. I love guys like Gegard Mousasi or Gunnar Nelson. These fucking guys that come in and look like they're going to fucking get a spits or some shit. These guys walk in and they're relaxed as a motherfucker. I love those guys. The old Fedor, but at least it's a thing. That these guys come in and they're going to be fucking cold-blooded, calculated killers like they just rolled out of bed. It's a thing. It's not a blending in, so stereotypical thing, man.
No, I'm talking more about the after the win type thing.
Just like celebratory shit.
Well, I mean, if we want to talk about celebratory shit, fucking Ben Rothwell's dance was fucking. That should have guaranteed him a loss.
That would have been a penalty in the
NFL. He loses 15 yards on the kickoff. Fucking.
Something about Ben Rothwell's thing afterwards kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know, man. Usually I'm all for those fucking impassionated kind of speeches afterwards, but something about Ben Rothwell, it just felt like he fucking didn't believe it. I don't know. It was weird for me. You can do whatever you want. Although I'm surprised. Fuck, I just pulled this off. Who the fuck you kidding, Ben Rothwell? You're just as shocked as the rest of us. This shit just happened to you.
Oh man.
So,
my hammer just broke that glass.
yeah, getting back to the fight at hand, man. I thought Meathead looked good for as long as it lasted. I think maybe everybody got a little cute with the whole Derek Lewis thing. I mean, he's got a lot of power, and he's a heavyweight. He got a couple quick finishes, so I think we all kind of, jumped on the bandwagon a little bit, thinking that maybe he'd get a quick punch and knock Meathead out. But Meathead had way more experience, was probably a mite bit faster, a lot more of a technical striker, so things pretty much played out the way they should have.
Yeah, but I mean, it could have gone either way. The way they collided, it could have been Mitrione that ate the forearm, but it was actually the other way around. I mean, it was just one of those things that I don't think it was more skill based as opposed to they both collided and Meathead was the one that collided the best.
Yeah, so I got a question for Eddie and Fred there. You both are seeming to allude to the fact that Mitrione is the more skilled and more veteran. He has more experience, but that's not really the case. I mean, maybe yes, in the UFC he's got more experience, and that's maybe what you're alluding to there. I just wanted to clarify that when you guys were saying that Mitrione is the more experienced fighter, because
that's definitely what I meant. I meant the UFC. He's fought a way higher caliber of fight. He's been in there with guys that have showed him, and probably just quite frankly been training at a higher level with Henry Houston and those guys, the Black Zillions. He's just been at a higher level for a longer time.
Well, hasn't every fight that Mitrione been involved in the UFC in some aspect, going from tough and on?
I think
all of them were.
I think so. I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, for anybody that might be listening there, that's pretty much what we talk about on a lot of the fights when we're looking at, the opposition. It's not that we're disrespecting other fighters or anything like that. It's that, when somebody fights in UFC, that's the upper echelon of the MMA world. And, if you spent your whole time in the UFC fighting nothing but upper tier talent, that obviously, as Matt Mitrione showed us in that fight against Derek Lewis, that amounts to, a whole lot more than maybe having a few more fights in MMA than, the other guy's record. So
absolutely.
That looked to be the case in that fight last night there, because, sure, Derek Lewis was looking like a beast there early on, and good thing Matt Mitrione stepped up and took the challenge that Lewis threw out to him, because, it showed that Mitrione is not really as bad as a lot of people were thinking that he was. A lot of people,
I
Don't
love
they, man?
Mitrione.
Yeah,
I
me
mean,
too. A
a
lot of
guy that
people.
can smile and fight, you know.
Yeah, but a lot of people were dumping on him, and I think it was, unnecessary, ridicule and mocking of the guy there because he's not all that bad.
No, he's not bad.
He's fucking meathead. I mean, what are you gonna
Yeah.
do? That's the guy's nickname. You know
Well,
what
he
I'm
kind of
saying?
rubbed me the wrong way when he was on Tough, and I really didn't care for him on Tough, but I grew to like the guy over time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like Mitrione. I'm like Mitrione way more than like Schaub. Schaub's a dickhead, so and like I'm not gonna talk shit about a fighter, all right? Because I just it would as far as like skill and everything goes, Schaub's cool, whatever. Mitrione's better in my opinion. As far as attitude goes, I can listen to Mitrione. I can stand Mitrione because he's at least funny. Schaub thinks he's funny, tries to be funny, and is just boring as dog shit. So I just no, fuck Schaub. I'll just say that. I mean, like
Hey, where are you from, man?
me.
Yeah.
This Southwest, my friend. we no fucks were ever given, ever.
Not for
Reminded
Brennan
us
Schwab.
of when I lived up in New York, man. That's how people were in New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What can I say, man? I grew up with people, a lot of people from the East. They all come over here, so. Yeah.
I know, and I say that to people all the time. People don't understand that dichotomy between people from East Coast and West Coast,
Yeah.
It's like two different animals altogether there. People on the East Coast are like, fuck you dickhead. And, nobody gets offended by it. If you say that to somebody on the West Coast, he called me a fucking dickhead.
Yeah, they get all upset and offended and all that shit. So, no, I mean, I don't know. My group of friends that I hang out with mostly, they're all MMA fans, and we're all kind of clowns and whatnot. So we say a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, everyone knows we're just fucking around. So
Exactly. That's what I like. That's what I liked about living in New York, man. You could tell somebody to fuck off, and they wouldn't take offense to it, and you'd kid them and joke around with them, and there'd
They
be
would
no
just-
hard feelings. But a lot of other people, boy, you say one thing that you're thinking is a joke, and they get so totally offended that they want nothing to do with you.
I'm in Arizona, man. You want to see some offended people? Go a little farther west to California. You people are just, oh my god.
I know.
So,
Yeah. I don't think I could ever survive in California with the mentality out there. I hope I don't offend any Californians, but
They're all cool. They're fun. They're relaxed, and I like to go visit, but I'm not staying there. It's not
they're just way too chill for me. I mean.
Yeah.
All right, so any more comments on this one before we move on and I wrap up how we did on the picks?
Nope.
Okay, Damon went with Lewis by KO in 1, no points. Fred, Mitrione by TKO in 2, 7 points. Jeremiah went with Lewis by KO in 1, 0 points. I went with Lewis by KO in 2, 0 points. And Parkland, MMA, Iron Horse, and Eddie all went with Mitrione. They didn't specify how, so they all got 4 points there.
Yeah.
Just to throw it out there right quick before we move along, what's everybody think about, I hate to do such easy fucking armchair matchmaking, but what do you guys think about Ben Rothwell and Matt Mitrione next?
About who?
Ben Rothwell, Matt Mitrione.
Wow, that would be pretty interesting, huh?
I mean, I don't want to give Ben Rothwell no fucking huge, I don't know. I don't want to give him no major fucking fight. Obviously, I just don't think he's going to be in no title talks anytime soon. I just don't want to base too much stock off this win over what is more than likely a shot Overeem. So,
I mean, I'd be cool with that fight. I want to see it just because they're both coming off big time wins. Neither one of us injured. Neither one. Well, I take it back. Rothwell got hurt. Sorry. Anyway, but they're that'd be a fun fight for me to see. I mean, both won by knockout. They're not necessarily the most exciting guys, but if you want a TJ Dillashaw story with Rothwell, all you gotta do is believe. Bring it on. Let's see the fight.
Just curious.
And both of those guys aren't even ranked in the top 15 in the UFC, so man, that would be a wise matchup, I think. I'd like to see it.
We'll see.
Makes sense.
All right.
Anybody else?
That's it.
I wanted to pick Meathead, but that was a hard pick. That's why I
wanted to pick him too. I actually wanted to pick him, and I was like, wow, that's going to be a hard pick, man. I don't think I should go with that, man.
Those usually don't turn out the best.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one here. And I, for the love of me, cannot figure out how you pronounce Chiesa, because I've been in an Asian family for over 20 years now, and when I see CHI in somebody's name, I'm thinking Chi. You know? So Asian people, to me, when I see Chi, I'm thinking Chi Tam. Oh, that's sister number 8. You know?
Yeah, I think it's pronounced Chiesa.
Yeah, it's Chiesa.
Chiesa.
Yeah, so Michael Chiesa versus Joe Lauzon, the number 31 ranked lightweight versus the number 21 ranked lightweight. Michael Chiesa 11-1 coming into this one. Joe Lauzon was 23-10 going into this one, and this was a big step up in competition for Michael Chiesa that he deserved. That I think a lot of people think he deserved, but unfortunately he suffered that nasty cut that caused an end to the fight by doctor stoppage. And I personally did not expect this fight to unfold the way that it did. I actually thought it was going to be a grappling game for most of the fight, and that the two men would be on the ground trying to submit each other. And, I thought, they would just be on the ground for the whole fight trying to submit. I didn't expect, them to stand up there and bang the way that they did. And I think I mentioned on the pre-fight show there that I thought this one was likely to be a fight of the night, performance of the night bonus, which I did mention that earlier there. But Michael Chiesa was not happy about the stoppage there, and he took to Twitter after the fight stating that the fans were robbed of a great fight because it was supposed to be going into a major 3-round war. But man, when you look at that freaking cut there, it's really difficult to argue about the doctor stoppage because that was a nasty cut, no doubt about it, man. And I think the stoppage was just. And what do you guys think there, starting with Damon?
Yeah, it definitely warranted. I mean, that thing was open. I mean, it looked like he had 2 miles on his face. I mean, his eyebrow was down in his eye, basically. I mean,
yeah, I
don't think he would have been able to intelligently defend himself on that side. See the punches coming from there because the blood would have definitely been running down.
The eyebrow was almost folded open or folded over. Who was that that made that comment?
White,
yeah.
Yeah, I know UFC Shonda did say something about his eyebrow being missing or something on Twitter.
Did you guys hear the comment from it was MMA Roasted on Twitter? The gash on Chiesa's eyebrow was so big, John Jones asked it, "Hey pussy, are you still there?"
You know what's funny is I tweeted because I was live tweeting Bellator for the webpage for our webpage, and when I was trying to just be able to sit back and relax, and I caught that fight when we cracked him open. I was like, holy shit, Lauzon installed a new vagina on Chiesa's face. And then I saw Roasted's tweet, and I'm like, oh, we're on the same page, man. We know.
Yeah, it was like that one other fight a while back. I can't remember the fighter's name. UFC fighter, but man, he took a nasty shot on his eye there, and it actually did look like a vagina when you were looking at it.
Right?
Like, oh my God.
Man.
No, it was definitely warranted stoppage. I mean, I think you do make the rematch. It was an exciting fight. I think Chiesa definitely showed that he was able to stay in there with him. It just was one of those things where
it clearly wasn't a robbery. There's no doubt, in my opinion. Anyway, what do you think, Eddie?
So I thought the stoppage, in a different, and I agree with Dana White when he said that in Nevada that probably wouldn't have gotten stopped. They probably would have let him keep going. But I mean, as bad as it looked, really bad. And if you let that thing keep going, I mean, Lauzon was going to target it because I would, anyone would.
Yeah.
You just keep punching it. Let's see how big we can get that thing going. So let's rip off the eyebrow. But I thought it was a warranted stoppage just to for his sake. But I was hoping they were going to let it go. I mean, I love seeing bloody wars. We all remember what Diego Sanchez always looks like, when he gets into like a 3 or 4, 5 round war. But I enjoyed it. I liked that they stood for the most part. I enjoyed the grappling a lot more. I mean, at one point Chiesa had Joe's back, and then you blinked, and all of a sudden Joe had Chiesa's back, and I'm a jits nerd, so I love seeing that kind of stuff. But I mean, I want to see a rematch. I badly want to see the rematch, and just hope no one gets freaking cut this time, because this thing has to go the full length. I don't think anyone will get knocked out. I think someone would get finished maybe in the third, but it would have been fun to see that whole war going.
Yeah, and I was going to mention too about that comment that DFW made as well, because he did say that, you know, if the fight took place in Las Vegas, that the fight probably would not have been stopped. But he did say, well, to be fair, that definitely that was a nasty cut.
And it's not necessarily the cut being so bad as the fact that where it was and the blood would have been draining right into his eye. And
it's rare that you see doctors actually stop fights, but when the cut is that massive over your eye, you know, maybe they could have let it go on a little bit longer, but that probably just would have made things worse. And
yeah, I mean it's tore, and if you take another shot to it as well, I mean it's just gonna keep tearing, and you don't want to see it again.
I had no problem with the stoppage either. I mean, obviously, I kind of wanted to see the fight keep going because Chiesa seemed fine. It was just a nasty cut. Obviously, yeah, I'd like to see the rematch. It was a great fight up until that point. I was honestly really fucking shocked at how good Chiesa's striking was, man. I kind of thought that the fight was going to play out like this. Joe Lauzon.
I want to congratulate you, by the way, because in all the predictions, you were the only one who thought it was going to be a TKO.
Well, I kind of thought it would play out like this, except, and I was watching the fight, and I was kind of thinking it while I was watching it, and I'm like, fuck me. Chiesa's going to fuck around and knock Joe out. And I'm telling you, man, with MMA, whatever you think is the most unlikely scenario, do not be fucking surprised if it's all of a sudden unfolding right before your eyes. I'm looking, I'm like, fuck me. All of a sudden he's using his jab well, and he's throwing flying knees and landing these kicks and shit, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on with Michael Chiesa?
I know, I didn't expect that at all, man. But
he shocked the shit out of me with his striking, man. I was super impressed by him not only hanging with Joe Lauzon, but fucking putting him in danger a couple of times, flat rocking his jaw, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, he did.
Mixing it up well, throwing kicks and knees and using his length and just shit that I had really seen none of in the past with him, man. In the past, his striking was rudimentary as fuck, and all of a sudden, he looked really crisp with his strikes, man. And then obviously, when they did grapple, I knew that would be really good. Chiesa's an amazing grappler, and Joe Lauzon can definitely hold his own in that department. So I expected that to be exciting. But yeah, Chiesa's fucking striking was shocking.
Yeah, I was expecting to see the grappling the whole time on the ground, and man, I was really shocked we didn't get more of that. I really wanted to see, the 3 rounds of that kind of action.
Yeah,
sorry, I was gonna say let's start a petition. Chiesa versus Lauzon Metamoris 5. Let's get it done.
Yeah.
No pesky cuts.
All right. So, any other comments on that one, fellas?
Where do you guys think? Well, obviously, okay, so we're all in agreement. Fucking rematch, right? Both guys.
Yeah, rematch.
Right. Where the fuck else are they going to go? It's got to be a rematch.
For sure. And Phoenix, hopefully, please bring that to Phoenix. I want to go to. I want to see that live. In a white asshole, if you're watching, stop being a douche. No, just real quick comment on that. What's pissing me off about that whole thing is that they announced the Phoenix card months ago, and they're setting up cards for everything around Phoenix, so I can't even plan on wanting to go to the damn thing. So he's just pissing me off. It's all good. That's just a rant. Sorry.
All right, congrats to Fred. He was the only one that actually figured this was going to be a stand-up fight, I guess, is what he was thinking. Because he actually went with Lauzon by TKO and won, so that got him 7 points. Damon went with Lauzon by sub and 1, 4 points. Jeremiah went with Lauzon sub and 2, 7 points. I went with Chiesa by decision, 0 points. Parkland MMA, Chiesa, 0 points. Iron Horse Lauzon, 4 points. And Eddie went with Joe Lauzon, saying that Joe Lauzon is going to get that Joe Lauzon bonus money. Chiesa makes a mistake and gets subbed. So I guess most of us were actually thinking it was going to be some sort of a grappling match because most of us were picking submission.
Yeah.
That was a grappling match for a lot of it.
Well, I mean on the ground where they're actually rolling on the ground, like like that. What's that kid's name? That Scully kid, and that other guy. Holy shit! There were a couple of guys in this event, man. They were just phenomenal on the ground, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was expecting in that fight. I wasn't expecting them to to duke it out the way they did.
Just in case we don't make it to the prelims, I just want to make a quick comment on this fucking Chaz Skelly. Okay, so first off, let me just get out of the way that his grappling did look phenomenal. And when that fucking guy gets you on the ground, he is hellacious to get the fuck off of you. Yeah. But was it just me or did he look gassed as shit?
Oh, he was.
Oh. That fucking dude looked like he was drunk as... I mean, I thought he was going to get knocked out there towards the end of the second and the beginning of the third because Soriano's a really good striker, and it looked like he was just peppering him up, but that fucking guy would just fling his body at dude, and before you knew it, he was on the ground with him, man.
Yeah, I actually thought because I made it, we do the live chat thing in our forum, and I made the comment there, holy shit, going to the second round or during the second round, man, he is just totally gassed. Bad. And I was expecting him to get knocked out in the third, actually.
That's what I thought too, man. Seeing as how he was so gassed, and then like I said, Soriano's kind of got some really crisp striking, man. And he was kind of tagging him. I'm like, oh shit, he's about to knock him out, and he drug him right back down to the fucking ground. I was like, man, I guess it's impressive though. I mean, he got 2 wins and 2 UFC wins in 17 days.
13 days, 2 wins in 13 days.
Which, people are going to go real fucking crazy about that, and he deserves his credit. It was 2 UFC wins, but let's not get fucking crazy here. He didn't beat, 2 big high names or nothing. That would not.
But that's pretty tough to go 2 fights in 13 days like that. I'm surprised he couldn't even get, approved and sanctioned to go 2 fights in less than 2 weeks.
And more importantly, two weight cuts in 13 days is ridiculous to me. Imagine that guy after his last one was probably out eating pizza, drinking beer, messing with women, all that stuff. And then, it's like, oh, by the way, you got a fight coming up. You got 7 days or whatever it is to cut weight. He's like, oh, shit. So, yeah.
Okay, let's move on from the Chiesa Lauzon fight to the next one here. And that one was actually supposed to be Nick Lentz versus Charles Oliveira, but that was going to be the rematch from the UFC Live 4 Congo versus Berry event back on June 26th of 2011, where Lentz was struck by an illegal knee and the fight was ruled a no contest. As I mentioned earlier there, the rematch between the featherweights was canceled due to Charles Oliveira suffering from an illness. And it wasn't really specified what that illness was. They just said that it was a viral infection. And at the weigh-ins on Thursday, Oliveira missed weight for that bout, coming in at 150 pounds. And initially, he was going to surrender 20% of his purse, and the fight was going to continue. But he didn't attempt to weigh in a second time there because I guess he was so ill. And then Friday morning, Oliveira had a relapse, fall ill again, and after being seen by a doctor, he was actually pulled from the event. In the post-fight interview that Ariel Helwani did with DFW, Ariel asked DFW if Nick Lentz would get his show money, and DFW said that he thinks Lentz would not only get his show money, but he would probably also receive the 20% purse penalty that Oliveira was supposed to surrender for missing weight. What do you guys think about that situation, and have you heard any more about any of that illness?
I mean, if a guy gets sick, a guy gets sick. I mean, there's not much you can do about that.
I don't know. I think it was weird, and I'm sure Dana White was pissed. I mean, it's the second card in a row where someone doesn't make weight and isn't able to fight, due to an illness, due to the fact that they were too sick to do anything. And he did come in like 5 pounds or 4 pounds over, so it was going to be a tough sell to try and cut weight again. But I mean that's just a notice to all fighters. Let Dana White know what the hell is going on ahead of time, because I don't think Oliveira walks out empty-handed like he did if he had told Dana White from a week or two ago, hey, I'm sick. I'm just letting you know right now. I'm messed up. When I show up, I'm just letting you know right now. Just basically keeping you on point. So yeah, credit to Oliveira for trying to tough it out, but at the same time, you need to let people know. Otherwise, you're gonna walk out, with no money. The same way Renan Barão did. So.
Good point. Good point, Eddie.
Yeah, it depends on when the sickness came on too. I mean, it could have came on the day before or a couple of days before, and there's really, do you fucking call Dana and say, hey, I'm sick, I gotta pull out right away, or do you try and stick it out and hope that the sickness is gone by fight day, by the weigh-ins?
At a certain point, there's only so much you can do. I guess it really comes down to when he knew he was sick. If he knew in enough time, he surely should have fucking told somebody. But if not, I mean, like you said, kind of, if he fucking got sick a couple of days before or real shortly, if something hit him fucking fast when he got off the plane or whatever, it is what it is. I mean, like old fucking DW says, every day he wakes up, bad shit happens. So, I mean, I'm sure that dude probably wasn't all that surprised. He was probably just like, of course. I mean, listen, nothing's worse than Renan Barão fucking fainting and hitting his goddamn head on the tub and falling out of the main event of a motherfucking pay-per-view. He was probably like, whatever, fuck Charles Oliveira, fuck that fight, whatever. No time for any of this bullshit. Cut that shit, send them both to Brazil, whatever. Like, reschedule. I mean, there's plenty of cards coming up. We'll reschedule this shit for probably a Brazil event in October. Nick Lentz, get your passport. You'll be going to Brazil soon.
Okay. All right. Any more comments on that before we move on?
Nope.
Okay. And
I'm just glad we didn't have to watch fucking Nick Lentz lay on dude for.
Now that would have been a good fight, man. Charles, I think that would have been I think they'll rebook it. I think that's an exciting fight, man. Charles Oliveira would have made that exciting.
Well, they got to rebook it because they were trying to settle that score that they had from the no contest situation there. So.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on here. The last one that we did on our prediction show was John Moraga versus Justin Scoggins, the number 5 UFC ranked flyweight versus the number 16 ranked flyweight. Coming into this one, John Moraga was 14 wins, 3 losses. Justin Scoggins was 9 wins and 1 loss. And man, oh man, this was an exciting fight there. After Justin Scoggins had John Moraga in a world of trouble in round 1, where he simply dominated Moraga in a fashion that had things looking like Moraga had no chance at winning the fight at all. John Moraga came back in round 2 right from the get-go to put things to an end rather quickly there. John Moraga defeated Justin Scoggins by submission due to a very deep and nasty guillotine choke at 47 seconds of round 2. And man, I was really impressed with that kid Scoggins. And even though he came up on the losing end of things, man, I'm sure he impressed a lot of people with that, because that was something, huh? The way he just dominated Moraga in round 1 there.
That he was dominant, and he was able to stay out of the submissions before, and that submission that he got caught with, usually, I mean, what he was doing, usually that would keep you safe from getting submitted. But I mean, Moraga must have just had some ability to push up on that forearm or whatever, and cut the blood flow off. But it just, I thought he was safe, and then when I seen that the ref stopped it, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And I thought he was in an okay position, but
I think even the color commentators were saying, "Oh, he's not going to be able to do anything with that," and then, well, it's over.
Yeah, and they were like, yeah, he's in a safe position. What? I guess.
What do you think about that, Eddie?
Here's the thing. And I said it before. I said, I'm a big Moraga fan. He's from my backyard out over here in Maryvale, up in Phoenix. Hell, I'll just say it. I used to train at the same gym that he trains at. He trains at 2 different gyms here. One in called the MMA Lab. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. Benson Henderson trains there. And then he also trains over at Arizona Combat Sports with the Lally brothers, who are striker geniuses. So I didn't train with him. I trained at the same gym, but I did get to see him spar with dudes all the time. You do not want to stand in front of John Moraga and trade. That's the last thing you want to do. That kid can box anybody. I mean, anybody, other than obviously Demetrius Johnson, who's way faster. But Scoggins was not going to stand with him. There's no way. And he did it smartly. He took it to the ground. Except, it's not like John hasn't been working on his submission. So when he caught him in the I think it was a guillotine, right? What did we finish him with?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. When he caught him in that guillotine, I saw him doing that in practice plenty of times. So I wasn't surprised. I was, you can imagine, I was happy as hell to see him win. It's another win for Moraga. But makes you think though, with the way the title picture looks at 125, like, you know, he can't be more than 2-3 fights maybe away from another title shot and another shot at a DJ.
Fred?
Look, I gotta say, I was shocked as fuck, quite frankly. I did not know. I still kind of feel like maybe Scoggins fucking panicked a little or something.
Maybe.
And that had he not, like, it seems like he thought he was going to get out, and then he felt like he was trapped, and he tapped before he kind of tried to maybe maneuver his way out. I was really fucking surprised. I was super impressed with him up to that point. I mean, like you said, obviously Moraga's got fucking nasty hands,
Oh, yeah.
but I kind of felt like Scoggins' kicks and the wrestling. I mean, even like the Kenny Florian and them had said, I think that Moraga had technically a better wrestling background on paper, but Scoggins got that takedown like fucking cake, man, because he hit it at the right time, and his transitions and shit, he just looked slick as fuck, and then to get caught in a guillotine like that, I was like, what the fuck is going on, man? But, you know, props to Moraga. He's a fucking beast. He got it. I mean, this shit ain't no joke. It ain't the WWE, man. He must have felt it. He had it. Scoggins didn't give up because he wanted to. I mean, he cried uncle, man. So obviously the shit was on tight. Quite frankly, I'm not greatly optimistic of John Moraga's chances going forward. I think that you know, I think that he probably needs to shore up some holes in his game, but he's still fucking an incredible boxer, and I mean, he added a new wrinkle to his game. He fucking submitted Scoggins, so.
And I think both you and Eddie were expecting this one to be fight of the night, weren't you? Isn't that what we said?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
It was good. It was on its way to it. It was on its way to it, man. But then he got caught with a sneaky. How old is Scoggins though? Fucking 22.
Moraga's young. I mean, I don't know. How old is he?
I think he's 20.
Oh, okay.
He's young, man. He's a fucking young guy, man.
He's gonna go places.
Yeah, this is definitely.
I mean, that was a crazy submission to actually be finished when he was in that position.
Yeah, I actually thought going into the second round that he didn't have a chance, man. And I was like, holy shit, it's going to be more of the same in round two. And then 47 seconds in, boom, it's over. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it was surprising as fuck.
He looked great, other than getting caught in that submission. It was. But
there are few fights where the guy that loses actually may have garnered more hype or benefited more in a loss than the guy with the win.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, and that's probably the case in that fight.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Justin Scoggins is, you know, motherfuckers still know. He proved enough in that fight that he's a bad motherfucker, and if he don't get caught on some slip shit, he's going to be a lot to handle. And John Moraga proved that he can catch you on some sneak shit, but all things considered, he's to tighten his fucking game up, because if he don't get caught next time, he's fucking fucked on. So
yeah, he's only 22, Scoggins. So he's got a long time ahead of him, barring injuries.
Yeah,
the kid amazed me, man. He was really good. I mean, like I said, a couple of those guys in that card really amazed me there. All right, any more comments on this one before we move on?
Any idea where you would like to see these guys go next? Moraga, any idea? Next matchup where you'd like to see them?
Moraga's ranked number 5 right now, and Scoggins is number 16.
Moraga's lost to basically everybody above him, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
So that kind of puts him in a shitty spot. He's going to have to fight down a little bit. Maybe
he might be gay.
Does Ali?
He might be gatekeeping for a little bit.
Yeah, true. What about Ali Bagatinov? That dude fucking pissed hot, right? After the Mighty Mouse fight, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's probably out for 6 months to a year, I believe.
Fuck, there goes that. Fuck.
Yeah. Well, he pissed dirty. He fucking get a suspension.
True. Yeah, they'll line somebody up for him. It'll be interesting.
So Scoggins, where do you guys think he goes?
Interesting, man. I don't know. Obviously, a fucking maybe they try to give him another fucking established veteran, maybe to kind of maybe a Scotty Jorgensen type.
Scotty's healthy. He didn't fight, so he's healthy. So.
Right. And then Henry Shueda, how do you pronounce his last name?
Shueda or whatever.
He's moving up to 35, so maybe that'll leave Scotty Jorgensen with needing a new dance partner, so to speak. So maybe.
Well, I don't think Cejudo's going to be flying at flyweight any longer.
No, that's what I'm saying.
No, he was told he's got to move up if he wants to stay in the UFC.
Right.
So no matter what, he's going up to 135 if he wants to compete in the UFC.
Well, that means he's going up to 135. He ain't going to give up.
That's what Dana was, but that was Dana. I mean, Dana was pissed because it not only did Cejudo and Scotty, but also Brow and fucking.
Yeah, right. So, I agree too, man. I mean, it's enough with the fucking weight cutting. You're going to cut a little weight, but goddamn, if you can't make the fucking weight, don't cut it. Cut it 35. Fuck it.
Yeah, that's why I've always been in favor of day of weigh-ins. Let guys actually fight at their natural weights.
See, but the problem with that is you still don't. It still doesn't mean that fuckers aren't going to try to cut. It would be stupid, but I still think you'd have fucking guys.
I mean, you'll have guys cut, but you're not going to see like what's his name, Johnny Hendricks. He touched 45 pounds to fight at welterweight.
True. I guess that'd be kind of hard to pull off in one day.
Well, I don't think he puts the 45 pounds back on, but it's a process. He makes the weight. He does make the weight, but when you're cutting that much weight, I mean that's just crazy.
Did you see that fucking guy on the scale? The last time he made the weight, the way he was fucking shaking.
Oh yeah, he was barely awake.
Like Michael J. Fox up there on the scale. He's fucking. He's got Dolce out there with him, and Dolce looks scared as shit because he's like, "Fuck me, I know he's not going to make it." And then they blame it on the fucking scale in the hotel.
Well, I mean that is absolute possibility that the scale is off. The thing is though, when it's very unhealthy to cut that kind of weight, and the UFC should try to promote more fighting at your own weight class and against guys in your own general area. I mean, Benson Henderson should really be up a welterweight. I mean, you got a lot of guys that, I mean, a lot of people say, no, they don't like the idea, and it's like, well, if you look at it, these guys would still be facing each other because they're all cutting weight. So if they do move up a class, then if all of them have to move up a class, there'd only be a few guys like Frankie Edgar who really doesn't need to cut weight. I mean, he does cut weight, but he didn't have to cut weight for 155. He does for 145. But if you make a day of weigh-ins and make the leeway 2 pounds, I think it'd be healthier for the fighters, and I think you would get a lot better competition, seeing who's actually the better fighters, not necessarily the guy that can cut weight better and put weight back on better. I've never liked the idea of somebody cutting so much weight and putting 20 pounds on and being that much bigger than their opponent, that somebody that doesn't cut that much weight for a weight class.
Yeah, I don't know. The weight cuts are always been like a touchy subject. Not touchy subject, but like I've always thought it was stupid to cut weight, like a lot of weight. If you want to cut 10 pounds, 15 pounds is a lot. 10 pounds, okay. But I mean, what was the number that Hannah Barag gave out? Was 22 pounds, some shit like that? Yeah. So, that's a shitload of weight, dude, to cut. Some of these guys are, they're getting unhealthy. And every time you cut, you're kind of shaving years off or at least days off your life, because that's you're just abusing the hell out of your body, man. So it'd be cool to see something be done to make this easier, or at least make it easier for guys to be at a more healthy weight class. But until it gets to the point where fighters don't want that little advantage, that just tiny edge, there's not going to be a lot of change to that actually happens.
Yeah, I don't think this will happen.
Day of weigh-ins will take away a lot of that advantage, because if you have to fight later that night and you're cutting a massive amount and then putting that weight back on, you're going to be very lethargic that day from putting that weight on, and you're going to actually put yourself at a disadvantage. So, I mean, I think maybe the day of, I think they're worried that these guys won't be able to make the weight cuts for the day, or what, I have no clue. But I think if they change the leeway a little bit, a couple pounds or maybe even 3 pounds, just made it to where guys are going to be competing closer to their natural body weights, it would be so much better, and you would have a lot less people missing weight.
You'd have Weidman might be a light heavyweight at that point, and it'd be like.
Exactly.
Maybe even heavier than that. You never know. And Jones would have to fight heavyweight and finally get his ass kicked by Cain Velasquez. Take that fight. All right. I can't stand John Jones. I really just can't. Fuck that guy.
Okay. You're in good company then.
Okay, good. I was gonna say, any John Jones fan, sorry, dude, I can't. But yeah. You see a lot of guys in a different weight class. You see, who is it that I was thinking of? Anybody in 55 would be screwed going up to 170.
No, but did you hear what I was saying? Every fighter cuts weight.
Oh yeah.
Except for a few guys. So all these fighters that are cutting weight,